Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button.
What's up, everyone? And before we dive into this, let me ask you something. When was the last time you saw a team run it back with almost the exact same roster after making the World Series? It just doesn't happen anymore in today's game. But that's exactly what the Blue Jays are doing. And honestly, I think people are sleeping on how dangerous that could be. So the Blue Jays roster is pretty much locked in as they're getting ready to head down to Dunedin for spring training. Bo Bichette, he's gone, now wearing a Mets uniform. Kyle Tucker ended up with the Dodgers. And Cody Bellinger made his way back to the Bronx. But here's what everyone needs to understand. Toronto is bringing back the core group that got them to their first World Series since 1993. And that continuity matters more than most people realize. If the Blue Jays want to get back to the World Series and actually win it this time, they're going to need production from top to bottom in that lineup. And that's what I want to talk about today, because there are three players who could absolutely be the difference between another deep playoff run and an early exit. I'm talking about Daulton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, and Addison Barger. These guys have potential to be absolute game changers, and I'll break down exactly why. Let's start with Daulton Varsho, because his 2025 season tells you everything you need to know about what this guy can do when he's on the field. Now, he only played 71 games last year, which obviously isn't ideal. He started the season on the injured list after having off-season shoulder surgery, came back for his season debut on April 29th, and then had to go back on the IL on June 1st with a left hamstring strain. Injuries happen, but when you look at what he did in those limited games, it's actually insane. In just 71 games and 248 at-bats, Varsho slashed .238, .284, .584 with 20 home runs. Think about that for a second. 20 home runs in basically half a season. That put him fourth on the entire team in home runs despite missing so much time. He also drove in 55 runs, which was seventh on the team. The power is legitimate, and it's not just good for the Blue Jays. It was elite across the entire league. When you stack Varsho up against everyone in Major League Baseball with at least 240 at-bats, he finished 9th in slugging percentage, 11th in OPS, 15th in weighted runs created, and 14th in weighted runs created plus. Those are top-tier offensive numbers, and it shows exactly how much value he brings to that lineup when he's healthy. The key phrase there is when he's healthy. Because if Varsho can stay on the field for a full season, we're talking about a potential 35 to 40 home run guy who plays elite defense in center field. And speaking of that defense, let me tell you, Varsho is special out there. His defensive metrics were outstanding again in 2025 after he won his first Gold Glove in 2024. He posted 8 outs above replacement last year. Now, that was down from the 14 he put up in his Gold Glove season, but 8 OA still ranked 13th among all outfielders in baseball. That's elite company. Here's why that matters so much for the Blue Jays. They got George Springer and Anthony Santander splitting time in right field, and while both guys can hit, neither one is winning any Gold Gloves out there. Toronto is going to lean heavily on Varsho's elite center field defense to keep runs off the board, especially in a division where you're facing powerful lineups night after night. If Varsho stays healthy and gives them 140 to 150 games, he could be the most valuable player on that roster. Now, let's talk about Alejandro Kirk, because this guy had a career year in 2025, and not enough people are talking about it. Kirk made his second All-Star team after slashing .282, .348 for 21 across 130 games. He hit a career-high 15 home runs and drove in 76 runs, which was also a new career high. For a catcher to put up those offensive numbers while playing that many games, that's incredibly valuable. The Blue Jays have Tyler Heineman as Kirk's backup, and the 34-year-old actually had a solid year himself. Heineman appeared in 64 games, the most of his career, and set personal bests in hits, total bases, home runs, RBI, batting average, slugging, and OPS. That's great and all, but here's the reality. You can't count on a backup catcher in his mid-30s to replicate that kind of production. Over his final 15 games, Heineman hit .135 with a .179 on-base percentage, 0 home runs, and 3 RBI. That's regression to the mean, and it's exactly why Kirk's production is so crucial. With Bo Bichette gone, the Blue Jays need to find protection for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in that lineup. Vlad is going to get his, we all know that, but if teams can pitch around it without consequences, it's going to limit the offensive ceiling. Another strong season from Kirk could be the key to keeping that run production at championship levels. If Kirk is hitting .300 with 15 to 18 home runs and playing behind the plate at an elite level defensively, that changes everything for Toronto's lineup construction. And let's not forget about Kirk's defense, because he's not just a bat-first catcher. He was nominated for an American League Gold Glove, and that's not a participation trophy. Kirk led the entire American League in fielding run value and blocks above average in 2025. He also threw out 12 runners trying to steal. The Blue Jays pitchers trust him back there, and that rapport between a catcher and his pitching staff is massive when you're trying to win in October. Finally, we got to talk about Addison Barger, and this might be the most exciting one of the three. Barger took a massive leap forward in year 2, hitting .243 with 21 home runs and 74 RBI. He finished 4th on the team in home runs and 5th in runs batted in, which is wild when you consider where he was after his rookie year. In year 1, Barger hit just .197 with 7 home runs and struck out 60 times in only 69 games. That's not great, but he made the adjustments and turned himself into a legitimate power threat. During the World Series, Barger showed everyone what he's capable of when he crushed that grand slam. But it wasn't just one moment. He slashed .367 in the postseason with 3 homers, 9 RBI, and a .441 on-base percentage. When the lights were brightest, Barger delivered, and that's the kind of guy you want on your roster when you're trying to win championships. His 91.7 average exit velocity tells you the power is real and sustainable. What makes Barger even more valuable is his positional flexibility. He played both third base and right field in 2025, which gives a manager options when building lineups. His arm strength is legitimate too. He recorded 9 outfield assists, tied for 9th most in all of baseball. I remember that game on April 18th against the Mariners when he threw out 3 runners. Seattle just kept testing him, and he kept making them pay.